Right, everybody, so in front of me are the two MacBook Pros M3 Max binned versions with the 14-core CPU, 30-core GPU, exactly the same specs. We have the base version basically, so the 36 gigabytes of RAM, and also 1 terabyte of SSD internal storage. All right, so I have downloaded an app called MX Power Gadget. Big shout out to them. So for the basic information, the MacBooks haven't been used for the last 10 hours. I've just opened them up, both of them, and opened the MX Power Gadget app. I've discovered an interesting thing already. So as you can see, nothing basically is open on them. On this one, Google Chrome downloading Cinebench. On this one, nothing, expect this gadget. Here the same, plus Google Chrome. And what I've instantly noticed, so they're also on automatic power mode, so not low power and also not high power. And as you can see, they're both unplugged right now, so they're running on battery. As we look at the 16-inch model here, we have an average core temperature of like 35 degrees Celsius. On the other hand, here with the 14-inch model, I'm already averaging on like 57 degrees Celsius, 58, doing nothing. It's just sitting around, display activated, showing this. That's interesting. So that's a massive difference actually. But so fans are off on both models. But as I hold my hand over here, under here is the chip. It's kind of lukewarm, and this one is chilling. So interesting. It's just sitting around. I don't know what's going on. So I've just restarted both machines. I let them sit for around 15 minutes, shut down, and I've just started them back up again. I have been running the MX Power Gadget for about 5 to 10 minutes now. And what I've noticed is the frequency, so the clock speed, is the same on both machines now. They're both running performance at 4 gigahertz roughly. Efficiency the same, as you can see. But a drastic thing still, the temperature differences. So we have about like 10 degrees difference. Here we are running at like 34, 32, like idling. And here we are running at 42 degrees Celsius. So that's 10 degrees. They've just been sitting like this, open with just the gadget running, nothing else is open. They have just a fresh restart. Yeah, that's interesting. So let's see how it will go on. Right, so here we have the next thing I think not many people talk about here on YouTube. So I want to conduct a test with Cinebench. It's the newest version, all that stuff. I've just started Cinebench up. I've installed it on both machines like at the same time. I've just started up, and as you can see, we're already running at 52-ish degrees Celsius, and here we're still running at 40 degrees Celsius. So still maintaining the like around 10 degree Celsius difference delta here. Another thing I've noticed, like now it's coming back to the performance here. The 14-inch went down to like 3.7, 3.6 gigahertz, while the 16-inch stayed at the 4 gigahertz at the performance cores. So that's another interesting thing, because like when you're paying this much money, you're essentially under stress. This isn't much stress actually. Getting still like you're getting the same chip, but in the 14-inch, due to its thermals, it will adapt the power curve accordingly, so it won't heat up that much, so it doesn't need to blow the fans all the time. So essentially you're getting less performance, of course for a little bit less money, because the 16-inch is still more expensive, but still it's not much of a difference here. So let's go into the Cinebench and let's see what happens. Cinebench has been running for about 7 minutes. As you can see, we're slowly coming to an end of the 10-minute test right here for the CPU single core test right now. I have now the TG Pro app open to look into the fans, what the fans are doing. So both machines are pretty much at the same temperature right now. So they are around 60 degrees Celsius. And on the 14-inch, we have the fans running very slowly. You can't hear them. Yeah, no, you basically can't hear them. They're running at like 2,400 RPM. And on the 16-inch, the fans are still off. It's getting warmer, but it's not hot in any way. It's the 14-inch is definitely a bit more warmer, but it's not hot. So yeah, clock speed. Look at the clock speed. We are basically the same on both machines. Performance 3.8 gigahertz, 3.8 gigahertz, basically efficiency 1.4, 1.4. Exactly. Performance-wise, single-core tasks, both machines are pretty much the same. I will see what the points will say here, but that doesn't really matter. What really matters is how hot is it getting? Is it throttling? And how much does it need the fans? Yeah, so on the 14-inch, the fans are off again. Interesting. We're at like 63 degrees, 59 degrees on the 16-inch. Interesting. So I will quickly show you the numbers and then we'll continue on to the multi-core. So the single core CPU test finally finished rendering. As I expected, we have the same results. So the 16-inch, 140 points, 14-inch, 140 points. As for the thermals go, the fans stayed off for the rest of the test on the 14-inch. So concluding, single core tasks don't matter. You can get any machine for that. Let's continue on to the multi-core. All right, so I've just started the multi-core and immediately everything is shooting up. And as you can see, the 16-inch is keeping the performance cores under 100 degrees, almost under 95 degrees, while the 14-inch is right about 100. So the fans are kicking in quite heavily right now. On the 14-inch, we are at 5,100 RPM, and on the 16-inch, we are at 3,600 RPM. So let's hear the sound. 14-inch and the 16-inch. Of course, due to its physical shape or form, the 14-inch sounds more aggressive on the high ends, I would say, and the 16-inch just has more room for the fans to. Also, the fans are bigger, of course. I think the sound of the fans on the 16-inch is more pleasing to the ear. It's not that high pitched, and the 14-inch is more like this. Well, the 16-inch is more like, you know. What does it mean performance-wise? I'm seeing a big difference here. So performance-wise, we are at performance 3.5, 3.6 gigahertz with the 16-inch. And the 14-inch is already only at 3.17, 3.20 gigahertz. Like, this is like, it's a difference. So especially if you consider we're only like 3.5 minutes into the test. So we're losing around 0.4 gigahertz on the 14-inch. So for short tasks, I think it doesn't matter. But when you're like running longer tasks than a few minutes, rendering, gaming, things like this, music production, I think you're definitely, especially for the price, better off with the 16-inch. Remember, we are in the automatic performance mode. I want to stay in the automatic because I think it's the most realistic thing to use. High performance is just overkill in my opinion because the fans will blast on this thing. You can maybe counter the thermal throttling a bit with high performance mode, but do you really want to use that daily? I don't know. So I'm showcasing the daily scenarios right here. Of course, this is stress testing. Remember, this is benchmarking right here. So you won't always have to use the maximum of your CPU, but when you have to, you can clearly see we're still rocking at 3.6 gigahertz right here. Well, this thing is only at like 3.20, 3.2, 3.15. Yeah, temperature wise, we are like at 78 degrees, and this boy is at, no, sorry, 98 degrees, and this boy is at 95 degrees. So not much of a difference, but the 16-inch has definitely a much easier job keeping it cool, and the fan noise is also more pleasant to the ear. 14-inch sounds for me personally like the old Intels, and the 16-inch is more calm, more relaxed. So I will finish the multi-core test, and I will show you the results after it's finished. So yeah, while it's finishing up rendering, I just want to show you how the power has been staying for the last 10 minutes. We're still blasting the fans on the 14-inch louder than on the 16-inch. The performance has basically consistently stayed at 3.15 gigahertz, and the 16-inch has been staying consistently at 3.5, 3.6 gigahertz performance cores. So yeah, we're just finishing up rendering, and it's interesting. I started them simultaneously, and the 16-inch is done already with with a multi-core score of 1,407 points, while the 14-inch is still rendering. Interesting. So it must have a lower pointage, of course. Finished just now, almost 2 minutes later than the 16-inch. Again, 1,407 points. And the 14-inch only has 1,269 points. Bit of a difference here. So you're definitely getting more performance out of the 16-inch. Sadly, thermal throttling, but also on the 16-inch you aren't getting the 4 gigahertz. So this boy is also thermal throttling, not as much as the 14-inch. So if you want the performance, especially for your money, 16-inch, hard to beat at the moment. The last test will be the GPU, and I will simultaneously start them again, and we will see how it will perform. I will just let them cool down for a bit. Fans are turning off, it's getting silent again. Very nice. Okay, let's go. Right, so we have finished up the GPU test. I'm just looking at the points right here. The 16-inch got 10,591 points, and the 14-inch got 10,482 points. About 100 points difference, but I wouldn't say that's that much. The wattage, so I looked a lot at the GPU watts here on both machines. They basically consumed about the same amount of watts. It almost peaked all the time at, can I look at this here? No, at like 28 watts on both machines. Of course, the 14-inch ran hotter, but not that much this time. As you can see, the fans are blasting more, but we are at 47 degrees Celsius, 48 degrees Celsius, but still, the 16-inch got 100 points more. You have to consider the Cinebench test only targeted the GPU right now. So if you're running tasks or applications or games that of course need CPU and GPU at the same time, how does it look then? So I'm gonna test out a game right now. Let's go. Okay. So here we are, I'm running Metro Exodus. We are running on both machines the same resolution, same aspect ratio, same quality settings. We are on VSync, and the rest is also set to the same settings, as you can see. I'm going out of the menu right here. Both games right now are running pretty smoothly. Both machines are activating the fans quite heavily right now. I'm gonna check out if I can show some in-game FPS. Let's see. I had them running both for about 10 minutes now. And this boy started out strong. So we started, I've been standing here at the same location for 10 minutes now with this boy. And before I had 70 FPS. Now we have 40. So you can see the thermal throttling is taking place quite heavily. The good old boy, the 16-inch, we also started out at about 70 to 80 frames per second. And we're still at 67. So if I look around here, it's pretty smooth. You can have better performance with Windows machines. Right here we're averaging at 35 FPS standing at the same location. Here we're still with no problem at 67. That's actually a huge difference. Running again, same resolution, same graphic settings, plugged in, automatic power mode, so none of those machines are running at high power mode, because high power mode those fans would be blasting, maybe performing better, but you know what? I'm gonna try out high power mode now for you guys. Let's see. Alright, I've switched to high power mode. As you can hear, 14-inch going crazy, 16-inch a little bit more relaxed. Okay, I'm in high power mode now. Before we've been getting 35 FPS. Remember, when I started the game, the boy was cool and I got 70 FPS. So high power mode enabled. Instead of 35, I'm getting 45 right now. So 10 FPS more. High power mode. That's the difference, just the thermal difference. It's crazy. So 10 FPS more. Of course, I'm only standing around here, so this bad boy here, still standing around, still getting around 65 FPS. So yeah, here you have the difference. Summing up, I would say gaming, go for the 16-inch. You will experience thermal throttling the hardest here. Single core tasks, both machines perfectly fine. Multi-core tasks, this boy has the upper hand again. Thermals, GPU and multi-core gaming, this boy also has the upper hand. So now, okay, interesting. So we've been sitting around here at high power mode, and as you can see, it's getting cooler and we're getting 54 FPS. That's crazy. Here, all right, we've gone down from 67 to 63, 64. Still running smooth, but that's not bad actually. You want portability, you want to pay a little less. In my opinion, it's also the more handsome machine, the more sleek looking machine. If you're going for aesthetics, I don't know. It's like the 16-inch is also very beautiful, but it's a massive thing. So why are you getting a laptop, you know? Are you getting a laptop so you want a desktop laptop, or do you want a laptop to have I think it's the best hybrid machine you can get. Of course, these are only the binned chips. These are the 14-core chips with the 30-core GPUs. So I think if you want to get the maxed out M3 Max, only go for this boy, because in here you will get the hardest thermal throttling possible, reminding me of the good old Intel days right here. But yeah, this boy also high power mode right now, still staying at 63 FPS. This boy also now high power mode, 58 FPS. That's interesting. That's cool. Yeah, that's not bad actually. I think you're getting with the 14-inch both the best of both worlds. It's hard to decide. If you want to be rational and think about your money and what you're getting for your money, I think this boy is it. If you're a bit more about the portable aspect and also the portable and also like the weight of it and the feeling of it, it doesn't dominate you in front of your face. It's nice to touch. It's a nice hybrid machine, in my opinion. You can plug it into the display or whatever you got. Have a big desktop setup if you want. If you're constantly running games or rendering 8K, 4K videos all day long, you will probably notice the difference the most. But if you're using occasional rendering, occasional gaming, occasional whatever, like not 24/7 stuff, I can't recommend the binned version of the M3 Max in the 14-inch enough. Yeah, guys, I'm also indecisive. Let me know down in the comments if this test helped you, because I think on YouTube no one did a test like this. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this helped you out a bit, and I will be sending one of those back. I have to decide now. All right, see you in the next one, guys.